Play hard and love big radio podcast. Inspiration on your station with the show broadcast. You don't want to miss it. You gotta listen. Good vibes and stories for you to go the distance. Bringing inspiration, stories that shine. Helping you connect heart and mind aligned. Live your best life, lift up and soar. Fueled by kumquat energy, we give you more. Play hard and love big.
The money I was making before I went into business for myself was excessive. And I didn't realize that. And now I'm like, I don't need all of that. I'm much happier fighting to get the money I need to pay for the things that I need to pay for now versus just going, all right, here's a check. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's nice just to go, here's a check. But like the sense of ownership, the sense of, pride and the sense of educating my children on how to build something for themselves is way more valuable to me than the money that it brings in.
Yeah.
So being able to contribute to, community and friends and family and be able to put them on a paddleboard for a first time and get them to enjoy how I used to mentally check out and get my balance back is something that I want to bring to everybody. And then, as soon as I started doing multi-day stuff, that is a sense of peace that most people will never, ever see in their life. And so I want to be able to bring that to everyone because, man, being alone in the wilderness is so recharging.
I know, man.
It's so great.
It's like my favorite thing to do, just like where everything is quiet.
Yeah.
And even when you're having conversations with people, I feel like the sound is much clearer. It's much easier to hear people and to connect with people in a serene environment like that.
Yeah. Connect is a better word than hear, I think.
Yeah.
I hear people all the time. A lot of them don't say anything. Being in the tech field and in sales, I know people that can just talk for hours and never say anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude.
And so if you're out in one of those experiences and you're out for a couple of days and you don't have technology available to you, you don't have a cell phone, you don't have service, you have maybe one means of communication, because I bring my GPS messenger with me so I can check in with people just to be like, hey, I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know where I am on the map.
Yeah.
I'm moving, right? But it's like once you're in that position with people, it becomes more about what's healing you. And the conversations become much more meaningful because you're in an environment that doesn't have any distraction. You have no opportunity to be distracted. And all you have is what's around you and what has always been around us. And we built all these cities up and we've trapped ourselves in these walls. And it's like, okay, well, now what do I do? I'm yearning for nature and connection to something other than concrete and, 4 walls of a cubicle.
Yeah.
You need it.
Yeah.
We are not meant to be caged.
and it can be very easy to forget how powerful nature is and space is when you're confined to these cages of society.
Anxiety, stress, anger, all these feelings pop up because you just don't have that connection to Earth anymore. And it's all these things are blocking that. And that's what you're sensing, like all that anxiety and stress over all these little tasks. I mean, our bodies are built to be fight or flight, and it's because of predators. It's not because of the bill you got to pay next month or, the argument you had with your mom. It's like, you know what I mean? Like those are not stressful things.
Yeah.
Stressful things are getting dumped over in a class 2 rapid with nobody around you, with no escape, going, okay, I need to calm down. I need to sort my feelings about this, and then I need to figure out the solution. And it becomes an enjoyable, self-focused journey to be able to be so single-minded in the journey and to be able to kind of forget all of that, anxiety and stress that you've had and actually be in a situation where true stress exists, like natural stress, versus that man-made stuff that we live in every day. Right?
Yeah.
It's been crafted for no reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people fighting to survive as seems to be what comes up for me when you say like how it was created.
Yeah.
It seemed like I know people are trying to figure out how to, I say feed, people are trying to figure out how to feed their families and pay, put gas in their car and all these things. But in a lot of realms, you may have hit it right on the spot. People are living in excess.
Yeah. They're trying to, well, we built a society that's built on money.
Yeah.
We're the only creatures on this planet that have to pay to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do we have to pay to be here?
Yeah, what
we
the
shouldn't
hell
have
is
to pay
this?
to exist. Like,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who did this?
Exactly. Well,
I
wait
need
a
to speak to
second.
your manager.
That goes way deeper than I was planning on going on this show. But what an awesome start. Mark O'Connor, founder of Venture Wild Paddleboards, and just a really good friend. I'm glad to have you here. Drinking some Kumquat Energy, man. Kumquat Energy, the official podcast sponsor of Play Hard and Love Big Radio. Mauricio, cheers. If you ever want to just say anything to the crowd, like you want to look them in the eye, you can always just hit up this camera over here.
That one right there.
Yeah, then I can do it
Ride
here.
my paddleboards because they're amazing.
Amazing. About as amazing as your haircut, and that's a compliment, dude. I mean, your hair.
I'm a moppy rag, so this is like I got to get clean cut for play hard and love big.
Play hard and love big. Love big. How much do you use product for your hair there? How much did you put in for that?
Little.
Really?
Yeah. My hair has been the same for years, so it just kind of does its thing.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge proponent of simplicity, so I don't like having to do stuff in the morning unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
So I've had the same haircut for, I don't know, 20 plus, 30 plus years.
It just goes in that direction.
It just does its thing now.
But forewarning, if you see him out and about on the river, or give him 10 days on like an isolated trip, man, he's gonna be looking like a moppy, soppy, happy dude.
You will be able to turn me upside down and clean your kitchen.
Well, that's good, man. I don't know if I'd be able to hold you upside down. I'm like, that's a lot of weight to mop my kitchen with.
Yeah, if you want to build muscle, this is how you do it. You get me in your kitchen, turn me upside down, and do some deadlifts.
Dude, where'd you come from, man? Where are you from originally?
So I grew up in Pleasanton, but before that, I was born in an Oakland hospital, and then I was adopted.
No kidding, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How did that whole process work for you?
I was really little, so I don't remember.
No?
No.
You know your story around it, or any of the details of how the adoption process worked?
Not the adoption. Well, back then, the adoption process was much different. So it was kind of like window shopping. So it was very important to have, the same similar style child in your family. It's kind of frowned upon to have, different races and stuff like that. So,
yeah,
I always said that I was store-bought Macy's top shelf. Thank you.
They're like, look at that kid's hair. That kid's hair.
He's going places.
I want my kid's hair to have hair like that.
Just style it the same way for 20 years and it'll happen.
Your adopted parents, are they still alive?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they are. And I know that I have half brothers and sisters, but I haven't gone to meet them yet. My biological parents, I don't know.
Biological parents, you don't know.
Yeah. I have half brothers and sisters, and I think my biological mother is
still
alive.
Yeah.
But I don't really know for sure.
Okay.
I haven't really dug into it.
Yeah.
I got the information late in life. So,
I see.
Yeah. I was 46. So 2 years ago.
Oh, you just found out.
No, I knew I was adopted.
Right. But
I didn't have any of the information about my biological parents until 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
And then the people that raised you?
Yeah.
They're still around?
My dad died 2 years ago in April. But my mom's still around.
Yeah.
My sister is still around. She's a biological kid. And then I have a half brother from my dad's previous marriage. So, yeah.
Okay.
And he's kind of a famous dude. His name is Dan O'Connor. He's married to Edie Patterson, who is a pretty well-known actress who stars in The Gemstones. Has been in a couple of different movies.
Wow, that's a cool, interesting fact.
Yeah, so she's on HBO. Watch her. She's awesome.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Right, good on. So how'd you end up making your way up this direction?
Believe it or not, my ex-wife. So
I believe it.
They kind of take you wherever they feel more secure. So I lived in Pleasanton. We lived in Livermore. We bought a house together, and we were living in a condo when we first met. And then after we were living in Livermore for a while, she felt isolated from her family and everything, and so she wanted to move up here. Her family was in Sacramento, and we kind of picked Folsom.
Yeah,
but things were already kind of going south. So
yeah,
but then we were here for a year, and we split. And she's a great woman, by the way. She's a great mother. We just didn't get along, so that happens. But Yeah, it's been a journey, and I stayed here because, man, I got into Folsom El Dorado Hills area. It was the first place I ever went around, and people were like, "Hey, how you doing?" I come from the East Bay, where people are like,
Yeah, they don't want to have anything to
they're
do with
just
you.
blinders on. You say hi to them, and they're walking the other way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
so everybody was friendly here, and everybody's really nice. And man, we're so close to Tahoe. We're so close to all this wilderness space that I love to do.
Yeah.
And so I just got hooked.
Yeah.
I can't leave now.
And you're over on the 80 side. Is that where you live, or where do you
I
live?
live right here. So
You
I'm in
live-
El Dorado Hills.
Oh, you're in Eldo.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm right up the
man,
hill.
that's amazing. That's
Not
great.
even a hill, really. It's kind of like a molehill.
Right up the
Right up to 50.
the slow 50, the slow upward tilt
Well,
up
I
into
guess
El Dorado Hills.
That's the fast section because, down towards Sacramento, that's where the never ending construction will forever continue.
Yeah, the constant lane splitting. It's just like a little scary
Now it
and
looks
hairy.
like a Tron movie. Like,
Yeah.
like, man, I feel like I should be laying out some blue lines behind me to make sure nobody gets into my lane. You know what I mean? Like, it's like hit light speed going right through those concrete dividers, and you're like, I'm doing 70 miles an hour, and it's turning and twisting, and then there's a big bump in the concrete for the light posts. And you're like, oh, okay, this is frightening.
Dude, what a project for somebody to even plan that. It must have been a total headache. Oh my gosh.
I don't think they planned it. I think they just kind of went, you know what? Let's just put some walls up.
Huh. Yeah, let's be as simple as possible here. And in that instance, I don't think simple was a good idea.
I think they went like, you know what? We had this open lane before, and we were doing construction. People were getting in wrecks. So why don't we just isolate the people, and they can get wrecks in their own lane, and then the other lanes stay open. And then we only have one lane to clear versus 5.
Dude, there's got to be some validity to that. I think you've got a good point there. You've put some thought into this.
I drive it through there, and I always wonder why the heck this exists. Like, I don't understand why they just can't finish it. Like,
same here.
A couple days. Guys.
Same here, man.
Like,
I mean, month after month, I come back. I'm like, this thing isn't done yet. What the heck is happening?
And they're like, oh, it's another 10 years before we get this done. And I'm like, man, it's just a freeway. It's a blacktop. What is going on?
I've totally had that thought multiple times. Like, what is happening? But I guess
taxpayer dollars hard at work.
Yeah, totally bringing us back into El Dorado Hills, which is where you reside now.
It is. I love it here.
Yeah,
it's great. There's less traffic.
Yeah, there's a lot less.
No single lane roads are walled off lanes and the freeway up here. So
yeah, none of that. Even though it's growing pretty fast, it's crazy just seeing like that south side of 50.
Kind of boom.
Dude, it's crazy to see all that, and just all the apartment complexes that are right up in here, and people that have moved in. It's a totally different environment than when I was here.
Yeah,
5 years ago. That's nuts. I mean, for the amount of people that moved to other places, right? A lot of people moved in here, and there's a lot of Bay Area people that I've noticed have been in here, but it seems to be that the people that are here from Bay Area were attracted to it for similar reasons as you. They enjoy the outdoors. They like being closer to the mountains. They like the people. There's a lot of really great people here that, when they're involved in the right activities and getting outside and whatnot, they can very much like become easy to talk to, but
it's got a lot in common with the people up here.
Yeah,
I think they all have a similar thread, just because they're in this area. But yeah, there's been a lot of growth. Like, I grew up in Pleasanton. Yeah, and when I was in Pleasanton, Santa Rita Road, which is a main 4-lane road now, it was a 1-lane road with a blinking red light, 4-way. Blinking red light, and it was cows everywhere. Wow. And then I was there for the business boom, right? So like PeopleSoft came in, and all the tech companies came in. They built a little tech capital there, and then it got really, really busy. And so all through high school and all that stuff, I got to see all this growth. And then I moved up here. What is it now? Gosh, my son is 10, so that maybe 12 years ago I was up here. Yeah. And even since the 12 years that I've been here, which I don't think is very long, but even just those short 12 years, we've seen so much growth and so much more housing going in on the Folsom side. And then El Dorado Hills is starting to get like that way as well. Yeah. A lot more people coming in, which is great. Yeah. Well, I mean, in regards to what we were talking about earlier, being a product of your environment, like really, if you're enclosed in the walls of society, not getting fresh air, not getting out, that kind of thing, you're going to be a certain way. This speed of life is going to be a certain speed. But then when you get into Folsom,
and you get out and you're exploring all these open areas in the water and El Dorado Hills and the Sierras and all the things that are available right here, the people change in the environment. You can,
100%.
it's obvious to me
Yeah.
that there's more people getting outside here than there are in different areas.
It's so funny because every city you go up the hill,
Yeah,
people get more and more mountainy,
totally.
right? And
Yeah.
they get a lot more friendly and a lot more slow paced. And it's literally a 4 or 5 minute drive up the hill. Right?
Yeah.
And so like you start in Folsom and you're like, wow, I'm in the Bay Area. And you come into El Dorado Hills and it's like, wow, it's a whole different type of people here. And then you get into like Cameron Park and it's a whole different subsection of folks that want to live there because the subdivisions and things are a lot more secluded and you've got acreage. And so as you keep moving up the hill all the way into Placerville, it's just a short drive.
Yeah.
And it's pretty diverse from that perspective, which is really nice because you get to see all kinds of people in a short drive and you get to see some very historic stuff. You get to see some new build stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's neat to be able to slide into an old town and like an old feeling town and a modern day.
Sure.
I love that. I like that about Grass Valley. It's pretty cool out in that area.
And even closer to that, like going to Port Reds in El Dorado.
Oh
like,
yeah, totally different place. Like what is it? The Cadillac?
Yeah.
Isn't that the drink? The Cadillac?
Yeah.
It's like milky kind of.
Yeah, they have that. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember what it's called, but that thing is delicious.
I mean, it's something that they're famous for or whatnot. But then and then you go past that and all the vineyards and those areas out there, they're really amazing. I mean, in the amount of time that you've been here, I imagine you've explored a ton of lakes. What are the bodies of water that are your favorite, that are closest or within like an hour and a half of Folsom?
Bodies of water. Yeah. I love them all, really. They all have kind of like a special place and their own unique nostalgia, depending on which one you go to. Some are really small and, really private, and you kind of are surrounded by trees and not a lot of beach. And sometimes those are great because you can just kind of pull over, string a hammock, and kind of hang out all day. Depends on what kind of mood you're in. And then, you can always go hit American River and go get some excitement and run some like class 2 on a paddleboard and get super wild. And then some days I'll want to go to like Black Miners Bar and do, some mileage and do a little river / lake because it's kind of a little bit of both, depending on the day.
And a little SUP yoga with Spotted Dog Yoga.
And a little SUP yoga with Spotted Dog Yoga.
At the Black Miners Bar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Super fun. So, there's just so many, and even Folsom Lake on certain days. Like,
sure.
If it's super calm, like I can go get some real good miles in on Folsom Lake. And like sometimes, we've had the mussel scare, which has been bad, but also great for SUP.
Oh my gosh. No kidding.
There are no boats on the water, barely any.
Still, I mean, the quarantine is a month, right?
So it depends.
How does
on
that
the
work?
Boat.
Oh.
So depending on when you get your slip and get your clearance, then you have like 30 days of quarantine, and then you can get back on the water. So like my buddy's boat's still not able to get on the water yet. I think he's close, maybe within a couple of days, but he had to wait 30 days when he went to go check. So you have kind of like this window where not a lot of people are going, I don't want to do this right now. And then they get stuck in the quarantine. So it's limited amount of boats out there. And it's been awesome.
Oh yeah.
Because you can
so
just
amazing.
get out there on like in the morning and it's class and you're like, yes, this is the jam. And then if you get out there on windy days, which also some of my favorite, changes the lake dynamic completely. It's a whole different world. And now you can do some downwinding, right? So now you can go, if it's blowing north to south, you can go from Granite Bay for 4 miles all the way into Folsom Point, and you can be surfing the whole way. So
that's awesome.
It just depends on kind of that. The lake is pretty diverse and it's a lot of fun. And sometimes you don't want the diversity that it gives you. And maybe it's blowing east-west and you're out there just dealing with boat waves and chop and just trying to hang on for dear life.
Yeah. I mean, well, that for you has come from a lot of understanding and experience of water and weather and how it works, because I think, right. I mean, I know for some people, if they hear wind and it hadn't been explained to them how to use, go north and south, like they'd be like, no, thanks. I'm going to stay in. I see that on the Lake Natoma Paddlers group all the time. They're like, is it windy out there? They're like, pretty much every day is windy in some way, just at different times. But
it's funny because there's a route I do. So I get out at Black Miners Bar. I'll go up to the wire which for those of you at home don't know, that's where the prison is.
Yeah, you can't pass the wire or they'll shoot
They'll
you.
yell at you first.
Oh,
So
you've been yelled
they
at.
will give you a nice warning.
He's been yelled at. See,
I've totally been yelled at.
yeah.
Because I just wanted to test it. Sorry, guys at the prison.
No, I'm so glad you tested it. So now
Yeah.
that I can give it a shot when I'm with some people that don't have any idea,
Oh, yeah,
and I
just
can
let
freak
them
them
go,
out, be like,
and they'll give
hey.
It's not a nice warning, by the way.
Oh, really?
It is a violent warning. We will fire on you. Kind
Really?
of warning. Yeah.
How far past the wire were you when they?
Not far.
Okay.
They'll let you get a couple 100 feet before they start screaming at you. Because,
Wow.
they give you a little leeway because they know people are coming up to the wire.
Right.
They know that. But if you kind of breach that little zone in between the wire and the tower,
They're gonna let you know.
they're going to be very vocal about it and say that they have weapons pointed at you.
That is pretty amazing. I know you were on a different subject kind of before we went into the getting shot at the wire thing, but like for people that don't know Folsom, and you can paddle right up to this wire and look up at Folsom Prison there. And that's a pretty famous prison, mainly because Johnny Cash sang about it one time, right? But that prison is
he was
well
in that
known.
prison singing.
Oh, was he incarcerated there?
No, he was never
Okay.
incarcerated there, which is the funny part. So he's got this huge name.
Yeah.
And he's never actually been there, but he did put on a show there. And so that's why the Johnny Cash Trail exists. And it's a huge subset of this culture here in Folsom, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison and time keeps passing on. I ain't seen the sunshine since
today,
it's been a long time since I've heard that one. Yeah, I remember. And I remember seeing the videos and they're like, yeah, right. They're like cheering him on. Yeah. So he came in and performed in Folsom Prison, but then, but he was never incarcerated there. And then the town basically got named, formed around his name.
If I remember correctly,
it's crazy.
He was arrested for drugs at some point in his life. I think he was getting off a plane or something and they caught him and he, basically paid his way out of it. But yeah, he was never actually incarcerated there.
Well, that's so interesting. Yeah, that's one of the cool, unique things about Folsom. When I used to have people come in and teach at the studio from different parts of the country or from different parts of the world, the first thing I would take them to do is check out Folsom Prison. And I'd play that song for them, and we go right through the gates and say hi, whatever, and then stand in front of the big gated.
Have you been to the museum?
Yeah, the museum, that little house.
Cool.
That is pretty cool. I've actually been inside too. They make.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
they do tours.
They don't. I went in with the Folsom Chamber of Commerce, and they showed us a tour at that point in time of where they make the license plates for California.
Oh yeah.
That's. I imagine they do it in a lot of different work release programs or work programs in prisons up and down California, but there for sure.
For like 3 days, I get 3 squares in a bed that's quiet. I have 4 kids, so that would be amazing. I'm pretty sure my partner Janessa would be like, "Can I take you up on that too? I just want 3 days of silence and free meals."
No way, dude. No way. You couldn't lock me in there for 5 minutes. I would be like,
you'd be crawling the walls.
I would be creeped out for sure. Like just being in there. Don't you think you would be really like, honestly, you think you could go stay for 4 days in Folsom Prison?
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know if I could do that.
I haven't thought about it that deeply, to be honest. I don't think I want to.
What's in this kumquat energy and
I think
the hydration? Because damn, it's good. It's getting me good.
This is delicious. Yours is filled with caffeine and yerba mate.
That makes
which
sense.
Will create fire right here.
Fire right here. That's why we have intermittent breaks throughout this podcast, but you would never know because we're always editing anyway. So, So anyway, they make the license plates up, some of the license plates for California up there, and we got to see that whole process, which was kind of interesting, But what's cool is when you go around the first gate in a bus, you like take it's like a 4-point turn for a bus. So you go around and then you point really tiny turns, and then the gate that you go through is like, say the bus is whatever, I don't know how wide a bus is, 6-7 feet wide,
14 feet wide.
14 feet wide. The wall is like just 2 feet on each side, so it's like you're going in and the wall is like right by the windows. So it's crazy.
Squeeze a body by it.
Can't squeeze like anything by
protocol.
I think an old school security protocol or something.
If you try to run, you'll get squished.
The next tour bus will get you.
The next tour bus, like just scrapes on the wall, people's shoes hanging there.
Okay, so you paddle up to the wire
back to the
typically.
waterways. So
Oh yeah, the waterways. Yeah.
So we were getting to that. So the Folsom Lake sits above the prison, right? And it's dammed. So we've got 4 huge gates that they open up to release water. That's all snowpack fed, right? And so they hold that water as drinking water for all of us. And below that sits basically the head of the river, which is also dammed further down by Hazel. So by the Aquatic Center, Sacramento Aquatic State Center. So that whole body of water is Lake Natoma. They call it a lake because it is technically dammed on both sides. So it is a lake specifically.
That's a huge body of water.
It is, yeah. It's I think it's total 14 miles, 8 miles, I think, long, which is pretty great. And there's a bunch of put-ins all along the way, and everyone has its own unique little flair. But yeah, my favorite part is going up to the wire because the canyon is beautiful up there. So if you get up there, it is amazing. It's a playground for like teenagers and adults to like go jump off rocks, be safely, please.
The big tit,
water safety.
I don't know if they call that. Is that
it is
PR correct? The big tit.
The big tit.
Yeah.
Rock. So it's painted white. It's like a 30-foot drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't jumped that.
I did that.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
How was it?
It was awesome.
It's cold.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I learned when I was a kid, if I'm jumping off cliffs, I should always wear shoes.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, so I was one up on most people I was with.
Smart.
Yeah.
I see kids jumping off the bridge.
Oh yeah.
Doing like backflips and like multiple backflips. These kids
nuts.
are talented and also very ballsy.
And that's legal?
I don't know.
I mean, I've seen so many pictures of people doing it, but I don't know if I've read the comments enough to know or know the law enough.
I think if you're doing it a lot, they're going to come have a talk with you.
Yeah.
Especially if they catch you.
Yeah.
But I think kids like now are like, okay, we're going to plan it. Go do our YouTube shot and then get the heck out of there.
Yeah,
so
bust out of there.
I think it might be frowned upon. So don't take our word for it. We're not professionals.
We're professionals in our own right, but not in that realm. We don't know about it.
That's something I am familiar with or will condone.
Now, were you in town when they did the slack line from one bridge to another? What was it? What bridge was it from? Where was that?
So it was between the 2 bridges. It was between the old Rainbow Bridge and the new bridge.
That's right. A long ass slack line.
It was like multiple hundreds of feet.
That's right.
Yeah. It was like, I don't know how long it was, but yeah, it was amazing. It was pretty cool. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing to see somebody do something like that. I just saw the clips of it. I wasn't in town at that point.
The amount of balance to be on a slack line.
Yeah.
Like I have a hard enough time staying on my paddleboard.
Yeah. Not on your paddleboards. We got to get to that at some point.
We will.
This guy has a paddleboard company.
I do.
No big deal.
It's fine.
Yeah. And he sells all the cool accessories too. No big deal. He's got a backpack that's a dry bag that could carry your whole sleeping sack for 5 days. No big deal. Don't pay attention to it. Or the cooler that's like waterproof, tough, rugged, and clips to your board that if you get flipped over in a rapid and then flip back over again, you can just pop it open and have a beer. No big deal.
No big deal.
Or kumquat energy.
Rapids.
Yeah, trade that out for some of this
put
stuff.
Some kumquat in there.
That's right.
Be more delicious.
Yeah, you can get this at Spotted Dog Yoga and SUP in this amazing refrigerator provided by Mauricio. Mauricio, salute, buddy.
Thanks, Mauricio.
Share this with all your friends, Mauricio. If you're doing that kind of drinking, energy drinking and hydration drinking, then you got to be sweating too.
Correct.
You want to be losing your salt before you're replenishing it.
Correct. Yeah, just Tuesday we went and did a little pre-run on some upper Sacramento water.
Yeah.
We're doing a trip up there, which is going to be epic, I think, because I do a lot of overnight stuff and distance paddling up in that area because the waterways are so underutilized. I hardly ever see paddleboarders up there. And there's, a couple shops up there that we partner with, and Headwaters. Thanks, guys. They're also here in Rancho.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They do education, they do rentals, they do all kinds of stuff. But thankfully, they also do river rafting up there. And for the last, 5 years, I've been going and doing overnight long distance paddling down this river. And, I've been posting on Instagram and of my adventures. And, I had a paddle crew call me up out of the blue and say, "Hey, I want to do what you do." And I was like, "Wait a minute, who are you?" The woman called me and was like, "We want to do what you do. We saw you on Instagram. How do we do it?" that was the opening line from the phone call that was blind. It
Yeah.
was kind of cool. I was like, but wait, I don't know who you are. So Joe from Ohana Paddle Club, amazing paddle club out in Alameda, they wanted to come kind of do what I do. And so I wanted to share that experience that I have on that water because it's one of the most amazing rivers we have in California. It's one of the longest rivers. It's one of the widest rivers, and it's one of the most, it's safe to some extent to go and do kind of these overnight adventures. And there's so much support in cities along the way, and it covers all the way from Redding, from Sundial Bridge, and even goes higher all the way through Shasta, right? But that's class 3 water, class 4 water. But below that, you can run it all the way to the Delta. You can go through Sacramento all the way out to the Delta on this river.
Damn.
Over 240 plus miles of water that is runnable straight through, unsupported. So you can pack a bag, take some friends, and set up a couple cars and go for like 3 or 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, doesn't matter, and just go explore this amazing waterway.
Wow.
Which winds through, all the way up north through Redding, all the way down to the flats and agricultural land in Sacramento. It is outstanding, and so much diversity on the river. Get a lot of wildlife out there: beavers, otters, egrets, huge flocks of them. And you get to experience all this on your own without anybody going, you can't do that, you need a license, right? It's one of the rivers that goes through so many counties. The counties are like, we don't want to manage it, which is good for us.
Yeah.
Because we can run it commercially without having to go get all these crazy licenses.
Permits and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really nice. And so we decided to do this for the first time. It's coming up on July 27th.
Now
you
you
guys
know.
should be on my Instagram and Facebook. And
Yeah. Follow
Venture _WLD.
WLD, no I, right?
No I.
Venture _WLD.
Correct.
That's right. There's no I in wild.
Well, there is in the brand name, but when there is a couple that has the .net, that they're an adventure couple. And so they have their own blog and they do, all that stuff on YouTube and do all their adventures and stuff, which is kind of funny. So when I was looking for the names, I got venturewild.com and all the sites except for the .net.
How funny.
And so they're a cool couple. We reached out to them a couple times, said, hey, should we share a name?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so awesome that you do that and that you're taking groups down there. And I appreciate you inviting me to come and teach yoga classes on the retreat too. It just happened to fall during our retreat, which would be awesome. Crazy. But I would love to do that. We should definitely take a look at our schedules and see if we can mesh them. I think it would be a fun experience. Obviously it'd be a fun experience. It'd be killer.
I think because people are going to be on the water.
Yeah.
Pretty much all day. So our trip is, I wouldn't say grueling. I mean, I do grueling stuff, but I don't want to make other people do grueling stuff because I'm self-deprecating and want to make sure that I get my workouts in.
Until you find the solid group of friends that are all exactly like you, you can't take the general public down these crazy ass things yet. Okay.
I have to kind of dial it back.
Temper it back a little bit.
Temper it back a little bit.
Please. Yeah.
And I do have friends that will go and do this stuff with me. For example, last year, my buddy Joe Tolasik, he might be coming on this trip as kind of a support crew.
Yeah.
But he broke his back in 2 places mountain biking 2 weeks before our trip down to Sacramento. So we were trying to go from Chico all the way to Sacramento. Would have been 140 miles. He made it 98 miles before he got tired and had to pull off the water. Yeah. Guy's a beast. And
he broke his back in 2 places, still went on it, went 98 miles.
Yep.
How?
Yeah. He and I have a weird screw loose. So when we hang out together, we have a little story. It's a fun story. Have you ever been to Benicia?
I have been to Benicia.
Port Costa on the other side from Benicia Beach.
Yeah.
So it's a great little channel to paddle. It's kind of a shipping lane.
I've never been. I've never paddled over there. Okay, it's a shipping lane.
So yeah, it's a big shipping lane channel.
Okay. Yeah.
Right off the beach of Benicia, and you can kind of paddle across it for a mile and a half, and then go to Port Costa and hang out, grab a burger, and chill out, and then kind of give yourself a nice little paddle back. Well, I was on my way to go meet him, and I was watching the wind, and the wind was starting to pick up. And I was like, oh, okay, 9 miles an hour. Okay, that's not too bad. We can manage that. So we get out to Benicia and Wind's blowing. It's pretty choppy in the channel. See a few white caps. We're like, all right, it's fine. We'll be fine. So we paddle over. Wasn't that challenging, but wind was with us. It was great. We kind of got over there and was like, oh, that was really nice. Yeah, let's have a burger. Let's sit down.
Easy
grab a
peasy.
beer and kind of check in on our day and see how things are going. And then we're sitting there at the table outside looking at the windsock, and we noticed that it gets a little stiffer. And we're like, uh-oh, this is not gonna be good. I'm like, hey Joe, should we go? I'm like, let's check the wind. He goes, it's 14 miles an hour. And I go, okay. So we're paddling back, headwind 14 miles an hour on an open channel, which is basically ocean, right? So it's a little bit different paddling style for that.
What do you have to adjust in your paddling style to handle that?
Your fear. And then just figure out a way to stay on your board. So because the channel we're paddling across it, most of the wind that's coming in is at an angle and it's blowing waves certain ways.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in the direction you want to go. So you're not downwinding. So you're fighting current, you're fighting wind, and now you're fighting waves. And so we looked at each other and went, should we get a cab? And he looked at me and went, yeah, maybe we should get a cab. And we both looked at each other and went, nah,
you're that screw is still loose on you, Mark. I know.
Yeah,
So
it's a little broken. But we wanted to go paddle it out. And so we did. So he had his dog with him and I had myself. And so we were both getting on our boards, and he had a hard board and I had an inflatable. And we start paddling. And so the wind affects boards differently. The current affects hard boards more, and wind affects inflatable boards more. So as we were going, we started paddling apart from each other, and all of a sudden we see these waves coming in, and they're a good 2 to 3 feet, white cap tops. And I just see his board dunked his dog, dunked him. He's gone. And I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? And so I wait a few minutes and I see him pop up and he goes, where's my dog? And I'm like, I don't know. And he goes, okay, I'll be right back. And he dives back underneath the board. The dog pops up. He's fine. He gets back on the board. And then Joe pops up 30 seconds later, gave me a heart attack.
Oh my gosh.
What's going on.
Yeah. Dog was just stuck under the board.
Dog was just hanging out. He was fine.
Okay. Got
Charles
you.
Barkley is his name, by the way.
Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Huh? Emphasis on bark.
Emphasis on bark. Yeah, he's a tough little dog. He comes on lots of our adventures. In fact, he came on our Chico adventure too. So
okay.
He got to go ride a paddleboard for 98 miles.
Charles Barkley did?
Charles Barkley.
What kind of a dog is Charles Barkley?
I think he's an overgrown Chihuahua.
That's
he's
awesome.
A big Chihuahua. But yeah, he's super, super cool dog.
Yeah,
And but yeah, we ended up paddling for our lives that day. I felt like we were just battling every single thing, because in water, it helps to go with the things that are, you want to go with the flow as much as humanly possible.
You're talking about like the current or the waves or the
wind,
anything.
You want to plan things better.
Yeah.
Please plan.
Maybe don't take so much time for lunch and beer. And
yeah. Don't stop and just kind of decide to do things.
Yeah.
And so
trust your gut.
Trust your gut. Take that cab. But we paddled and we were both fighting all of the elements. It was just a battle of us against everything. And it took us a good hour and a half of all in paddling. I mean, full energy. Like every paddle stroke had to be twice as hard just to make head ground, because we were battling a huge headwind. We're going up a 14-mile-an-hour headwind plus
Holy
current
smokes,
against us. Waves were coming in with the wind. So we're fighting going across the channel. So we're getting hit with side waves, which you don't want to do in a paddleboard. It's not fun. It is very hard to manage. You will get knocked over a couple times and get wet, which is part of paddling. That's going to happen.
Hell yeah.
But in these particular circumstances, you don't want to, because it's a big shipping channel. Big ships come through there and they don't stop for people on paddleboards. So it can be a little dicey. So we wanted to get out of there. So paddle hard, head down, on the knees, because standing was not an option, just to stay on. Because if you're standing in those waves, it's just going to knock you right down. So get on the knees and just dig. And so we dug all the way to shore. And I think that was the most, both of us agree that of all of our adventures, the short little 1.5-mile paddle in the Benicia Channel was the hardest paddle we've ever done together.
Wow, man. Oh my gosh.
So it was It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and totally kind of unexpected, crazy, and with thank goodness, a good result.
A great result.
Great result.
Yeah.
And a memory forever.
Stories for days.
Stories for days. And your screw got a little bit looser on that one. I
Oh,
mean, why
well,
not? There's nothing wrong with loosening your screw, even if it's already a little bit
I
loose.
think that
Why
one
not,
kind
man?
of tightened it up a little bit.
Tighten it
I
up a
think
little.
we got the wrench on there and just kind of cinched it a bit.
Yeah,
We're like, maybe we don't do that again.
Checked you a little bit. I've had
Yeah.
those moments for sure where I'm like, yeah, that was a check right there. I need to pay attention, because if I don't make a shift, it'll really
Nature's going to get
nail
you
me.
if you fight it.
Yeah, you can't fight nature.
You can't fight it.
No,
Like, there's
man.
no way. And so I do a lot of water. Obviously, I do a lot of water stuff, but I do a lot of moving water stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And water safety is a huge kind of thing for me.
Yeah.
In the industry itself, even out at B&B, I see people out there all the time, no PFDs, no anything, and they're like, oh, it's just a lake. What they don't know is they release water, and that water up top, as they paddle to the wire, will get up to 10 miles an hour flow, and that there are tons of hydraulics underneath that water. Based on, the geology of the area.
Yeah.
So you've got all these little mounds and crazy little rock formations underneath there, creating all kinds of weird currents.
Yeah.
So you'll get those swirlies and the boils that will grab your fin and just dunk you. And that's aerated water. So it will suck you down like you fell into a vat of bubbly water. It will just drop you. And that's where things get a little dicey. And you want to make sure that you're wearing your PFD, because if you're not, and you get a foot entrapment, or if you're wearing a leash that has an ankle strap and it gets tied around one of those rocks, you have no way of getting it off.
Yeah.
And you're going to put yourself at risk. Every time I see people out there with no PFDs and ankle leashes, and I just want to say something, but I don't want to be rude. So.
Well, here's my question is, it's a lake, and people aren't all aware of the current, like you're speaking of, or the danger of it. Let's talk about leashes, because there's releasable leashes. Venture Wild has releasable leashes. Yeah. And
they come with our boards, because I wanted to make sure that people understand.
Yeah.
I have one. Here we go.
Every board you purchase, you get one of those?
Every board you purchase will not come with an ankle leash.
River boards.
Any board.
Oh.
Kids board.
It will. You said it will.
It will.
Every board you purchase will come with an ankle leash.
No, every board comes with a detachable quick release leash.
I'm sorry. Let's say that again. Every board will come with a detachable quick release leash. Yeah. Dude, this is a good thing. Yes. This is such a good thing, man.
Yeah. So not a lot of people are aware of these things.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like, it's kind of like a no-brainer thing for me now that I know that they exist and I know what they're used for.
Right.
And I've used them specifically. I was on the Rogue River, and my board got pinned up against a rock, and I got shoved under the water on a Class 3 rapid.
Did you feel like this was a near-death experience?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. Is it the scariest moment you've had on a paddleboard?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, as a kid, I did stupid stuff, and I've been washed out a couple miles in Santa Cruz before from rip currents and stuff, and had to swim home a couple miles and then walk back because you get sucked out, and then you gotta swim sideways to get back in. I think I was 14 when that happened to me.
Yeah.
And then of course back then parents weren't watching you. It was like they were at the campground having a good old time, and kids were at the beach, and you're kind of fending for yourself. And so I have a lot of swimming experience growing up. I was swim team, and so I was a really good swimmer, but PFDs and water safety wasn't really a thing back in the late 80s, early 90s.
It's changed that much in the last...
I might be older than I say.
Well, you're what, 38?
38.
So it's changed that much in the last 25 years?
I think that water safety has always been evolving. I think there was, when you go on commercial rides, so even back then, like on the Sacramento River and stuff like that, you could go get on a canoe trip, but the canoe trip was like, oh yeah, here's your canoe, here's your PFD, have a great time, go down the river.
Yeah, right.
There wasn't anybody there to kind of teach you how to paddle the boat, how to maneuver the boat, how to navigate the waters. It was like, send it.
Get after it. Go for it.
Yeah. It was like
totally,
kind of the Wild West.
Yeah, of course.
I think things have definitely changed. Some ways for the better and some ways for the worst. Liability insurance, all that kind of stuff is kind of taking a lot of the fun out of some things.
Yeah, totally. I get that.
It is what it is, and you can privately run pretty much anything out here. So if you do want to have that experience, I highly recommend lessons. I highly recommend going through a class of understanding how moving water works, how water safety is, wear a PFD. If you're on a lake, it's fine to have like, the pull self-inflatable ones. And if you're racing, like, I think there's enough people around you. If they see something bad happen, they can come help you. But you're not in that situation all the time, and not everyone around you is aware of what bad looks like.
Yeah.
Right. And so somebody could get sucked into a tree and be hanging out on it and going, hey, for help. But they're really in trouble. But the other person on the other side goes, hey, have a great day. Just paddles on by.
Hey, can I get you some almonds?
almonds?
What I think is super cool is that you're going to show us this
For
leash.
a minute.
Let's talk about that.
I want to show people.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Most people are familiar with an ankle leash. They come with all your Amazon boards, all your Costco boards. It straps around your ankle. It's got a 3-way Velcro strap.
Yeah.
It's very secure around your ankle. And if you're in the ocean, that's great. Like if you're surfing, you want a static leash and you want an ankle leash. If you're out there racing on the ocean, you may want a coiled leash, but you also want it, maybe an ankle leash, right? So that
it's not creating drag. Is that part of the reason?
Yeah,
Why do you want a coil?
Oh,
out of the way.
Right?
Yeah,
so if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
racing in the ocean,
Sure.
You can have an ankle cuff. But a lot of people in the ocean still use releasable leashes too for racing, just because they're easier. Because when you're coming across the finish line, you got to release your boat and pick it up. So you're still tied to a leash, still tied to your board. But in the ocean, you're not necessarily in as much danger with a cuff leash, because there's not much out there that's going to catch you. So if you're doing rivers and lakes, which is where a lot of fishermen go, huge fishing town, Upper Sacramento here, a lot of salmon fishermen around the area. And it's a great sport, and we totally appreciate them, but they do leave some things behind that aren't necessarily good for people who are boating, right? So you got fishing line is probably one of the most common catchers of boards. So you'll be going along, all of a sudden your board will just stop. You won't know where the hook hit, and your board won't go anywhere, and you will. So you fall off your board, the current takes you, or you get sucked under your board or trapped around a little in a tree or something, and you want to get away from your board, and you try to go underwater to release a 3 Velcro cuff on your ankle, it's going to put you in some danger. And if you're in a moving water situation, the current's going to push you down and away from your ankle leash. Your head is going to be going towards the downstream current, and your
Can't
foot
even
is
reach
going to
your
be
ankle.
entangled, and you won't be able to reach it. And there's been a lot of drownings that have happened. Some big people in the news, maybe last year, I think there was a big chef, a very famous chef that was caught. They had kind of tied some rafts together with an ankle leash, and she had it on her ankle, and they were having a float and got caught in a strainer, and her friends had to sit there and watch her go under.
Where was this?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
Wow.
But
dude, no one ever mentioned ever in the last 10 years that I've paddleboarded anything about fishing line.
Yeah.
That's the very first time I've ever heard that. I never even considered that.
Yeah. Fishing line, anchors that are left behind, anything that's left in the water, people's trash, fallen logs, tree branches. Because if you're paddleboarding out here, the water level changes on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And so, your ability to understand where those danger zones are sometimes unknown. You'll be floating down the river, all of a sudden your board will just stop, and you're going, what's going on? I floated here 2 days ago and nothing was here, and now the water level's down a little bit. You've got some rocks and some tree limbs that are exposed now and that are going to catch you.
Yeah.
And so you just want to be able to get away from your board. So the idea of a PFD and a quick release leash is so that you are your own flotation device.
No doubt.
So you can rescue yourself, self-rescue. The second thing is to get away from the thing that's entrapped. You don't want to be the one that's entrapped. Make sure that you have a way out, right? And so that's what this comes in. It attaches to your PFD. They have PFDs with actual, straps around them with hooks.
Yeah.
You just hook onto.
Yeah.
But what's nice is that if you do get in trouble, you just pull this little guy right here, and you're free from your leash.
No doubt.
And so you can swim away from the danger, and you can go call for help. You can get rescued. You can do all that stuff. And if you're on whitewater or any moving water, which I consider whitewater, anything class 1, which is any moving water. That's basically what a class 1 moving water, that's its required name.
Class 1 is moving water. Class 2 is moving water, but more
Class 2 is
technical.
Yeah, obstacles.
Okay.
So, and also bigger water, right?
Bigger
so you've
water.
got more white water.
When you say bigger, you mean more volume?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So it's mainly hydraulic that creates that class 2. So you can have the same flow in the same river and have a class 1 moving water that goes into a class 2 based on the hydraulics of the water and how technical it can become.
Yeah.
And then you also have those same classes as consequences too. So you can have a class 1 with a class 4 consequence.
Whoa.
Which means it's easy moving water, easy to navigate. You can cruise through it, probably no problem. But if something does go wrong and you get swept, you're going to go into something that is a class 4 danger, which is going to put you and your body at risk. So that's where if your board gets trapped, if it gets, stuck somewhere and you get tossed into this class 1 rapid with a class 4 consequence,
right,
you can swim it.
Yeah, I actually want to backtrack a little bit because I think this is important for people to understand too, is that if you're going to get out on water that's moving water and you're not familiar with it, go with somebody or groups of people that are familiar with it to learn it. It's your life depends on it. So
it's just like going road biking nowadays. Like you have to have a buddy with you because people are on their phones and want to run you off the road.
Yeah, right.
So that way you can have somebody to throw your water bottle at.
Yeah.
So you can get run off the road, then you have somebody else to throw the water bottle. That way you're tag teaming it.
Yeah, you're getting after it. I didn't know that's the way it worked. Now I'm going to change everything. No, it's crazy. Well, that I don't know in relationship to this episode, but we were just talking about Derek Teal, and his episode will come up after yours at some point. But he was over in Rockland or Roseville area. I think maybe it was Rockland or Lincoln, and got hit by a car that was going 60 miles an hour and blew through a stop sign. Yeah, it's like. Yeah. Anyway, totally. But he wasn't. I don't think he was with anybody.
Yeah, which is dangerous.
So he had somebody, and it was the guy hit and run. He took off, and so another car had to pull over and call, somebody to like help him after the fact too. So, 100%. But point being, like, this is not something you just roll up into a river and just throw your regular old lake board down and go for it, right? I mean, people should have an understanding.
Do that.
Yeah.
And I think people do when they have an understanding of where they live and they run those rivers often.
Right.
Maybe they may feel confident enough to kind of do that because they know it.
Yeah.
But for people who have never been on it before and have never done anything before, firstly, paddleboards have kind of gotten a bad rap in this area, I think, because it's fairly new. People are unused to seeing paddleboards on moving water. But if you know what you're doing and you've taken some of these lessons and you understand water safety with a paddleboard, which I highly recommend, guys, if you're going to go paddleboard anything, go take a water safety class, go take a moving water class and learn it, because there are some great benefits to having a paddleboarder out there with you out on the water. So
where are places they can do that locally?
Oh, American River.
Yeah. The classes. Who runs the classes? Or are they just?
So David Sartoni is the River SUP guy.
Davide. Hey, Davide.
Hey, buddy. What's going on?
We love you, man.
So he does classes on the upper American River.
Absolutely.
And he will take you out, do a full lesson, teach you how moving water works, teach you how eddies work, teach you how to go down a river and control your paddleboard. But more importantly, other than that, is that paddleboards are a unique tool out on moving water. It's something that's kind of underutilized and not well known. But because we have such a level and low platform, we can help rescue a lot of other people that are either beginning or get in trouble in their watercraft. So I've been out plenty of times and been with kayakers who are fairly new or inexperienced and are learning.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. And of course, kayaks roll. They go upside down. I don't like going upside down.
And being stuck upside down.
Their own, right? I don't like sitting or going upside down. It's kind of scary to me. But I don't mind falling in the water. But what's nice about a paddleboard, if you can get to the person, one, you can rescue their boat. So, because kayaks, if you pull skirt, they're going to fill up with water.
Yeah. And
it's going to be very challenging for them in moving water to eddy out, to find a safe space and get enough people together to empty their boat.
Yeah.
So they can get back in it and continue on down the river. So what's nice is that we can pull those boats up on the nose of our board and get those boats completely empty out for them And then we can also rescue them as well.
Mhm.
So if we're eddying out and they're free swimming, which we don't like people free swimming in moving water, we want to make sure that they're in a craft that they can control. And we want to make sure that they're safe and pulled out into a safe area where we can rescue. To do that, we can just have them hang on to the back of our board. Like they can grab our bungees, they can grab a bunch of stuff. They can grab our
Totally,
leash,
man. Totally.
and we can literally take their board and the human to a safe eddy, so where we can rescue them and get them back in their boat and moving on their way.
So
Which is fantastic.
I mean, it's like a,
And that's not just with kayaks; that's with everybody. Right?
yeah. So, I mean, even though it's been a little bit frowned on because it's new for people, and the reality is the more people that are trained in doing it, the more safe the waterways can be.
Yeah.
And the more eyes can be out there, the more you can help other people. And that's really one of the most important parts of it.
It is.
Of this sport, in my eyes, is keeping people safe. If you can keep people safe and they know that there's a community around them that's safe, that there's education that they can get that will help keep them safe, more and more people will be able to get out and enjoy it.
100%.
Yeah.
And even better, one thing that's really overlooked is that paddleboards are highly maneuverable. So like if you're in a big raft, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how typically what people think when you say, I'm going to go whitewater rafting. They think of this big raft. They got, 8 people in a raft and they're going down these waves and it's tons of fun.
Smashing through the waves.
And
water hitting you in the face like a mister. Feels so good out here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You get that nostalgia of that.
Sure.
But in reality, I mean, rafts are fantastic and incredibly safe, but they're also big, gigantic boats that don't maneuver incredibly well. And it takes a lot of effort to maneuver those boats, maybe multiple people or a very skilled craftsman who knows how to oar, right? So those boats aren't highly maneuverable. They have to go certain routes down the river and they can't deviate from those routes very much in order to help other people or get people unstuck because they're so big and cumbersome.
Yeah.
In a paddleboard, I don't have to go down the main route of any river at all. And in fact, most of the time I don't because the class of the waves are maybe too big for my liking or I don't want to dunk right there.
Yeah.
And so I can skirt those and I can point my board in a way that I'm not going to hit the center of those channels and I can go around rocks and I can eddy out a lot faster. And I have a lot more controllability on my board. So I can kind of get into places where other people can't.
Yeah.
And it really helps when, people have maybe fallen out of the raft or gotten out of the wrong line and they need some help getting out of something. And so it's nice to be able to have that flexibility on a paddleboard to go and kind of help out.
Yeah, no, that's really neat. That is such a cool perspective to have around it. I know when I was up there and took a class from Davide. Yeah. Davide, you're awesome, man. Awesome. I had such a good time with him. And I mean, the first thing he taught us is what to do, like how to fall off. He's like, okay, the first thing we're going to do is just fall off. I'm like, oh, yeah, I could do this all day, And then that was kind of the point. Like, it's okay if you fall off. It's okay. You can handle it. You just need to know a few basic things so that you can be safe when you fall off and get back on your board, So
if you're paddleboarding, you're going to get wet. That's just the fact of life.
With a capital W, W-E-T, wet. You're going to get wet.
You're going to get wet.
Yeah, you are. That's right.
Especially if you're just learning. You're going to fall in just trying to stand up for the first time. 100%. And that's just part of the process. You don't need to be scared of it.
Yeah.
And just to tell everybody, if you do fall off your paddleboard, your goal is to fall on your paddleboard or flat on the water. Body flat, not head first, feet first. You want to lay flat so that way you don't sink into the water and have anything underneath there hurt you. So that's the whole goal, is to stay on the floating part of the water that's moving, that doesn't have any restrictions. So yeah, that way you can reboard your paddleboard and get back on. And that's the other wonderful thing about paddleboards too, is that it's 100% self-rescue. You do not need to be rescued 99.9% of the time. One, you're attached to it unless you're in trouble and you release.
Yeah.
But if you're attached to it, so you can pull your leash, grab your board and hop right back on.
Yeah.
Like, there's no like, oh, I need to paddle the boat over here and eddy out and wait for 3 people to climb over a 3-foot wall to get back in the raft.
Exactly.
Not knocking rafting is super fun.
Yeah.
Totally
I'm just
saying
fun.
It's a different entrance. So if you've ever gone rafting for the first time and you are a little unfit, that re-entry to that raft, because I've experienced it, I've been out of shape and I've tried to reboard that raft.
The re-entry to the raft. It sounds like it could be a book or a novel of some sort.
I don't know. That could be, might be a little spicy novel, maybe a romantic novel of some kind.
There's definitely, sure. I hit this and I was like, what is that? Oh, it's just the microphone stand. Oh my God.
Not a spider. It's okay.
Oh, that's so funny.
There are no bugs in the studio, which I really appreciate. It's very clean.
Yeah, it's
I
very
love your
clean.
store, man. It's awesome.
Thanks,
It's got
man.
such a good vibe.
Yeah, totally. Lots of good colors. I'm very excited, Mark, that we're going to have your paddle boards in here. You all can see them up here behind us, but they're so colorful and neat. And hey, man, tell us a little bit about how you started your company?
Yeah, let's go.
And why, and what's like all of it, like what's behind it, what's the purpose behind it, where are you going, all that stuff.
I have so much to say about that.
I bet you do.
How long do we got?
I know.
You know what's funny is that I started paddleboarding kind of on a whim. I thought it was kind of a cool novelty thing. And I think a lot of people do that. They like grab an Amazon board, and I think it's a cool novelty thing. And for the first time ever, you're going to go float and like bring your cooler and like float 20 feet off the dock and just kind of hang out, you know? And as I was doing that with my first paddleboard, because I used to kayak a little bit, and I really didn't like sitting down all that much. It started hurting my back. And, you know, after long hours in the kayak and fishing and stuff, I'm like, this isn't for me. There's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And so I got this paddleboard. It's the first one ever. And man, I was like, oh, I can just pull in anywhere and just jump off. I can lay down on this thing. I can stand up on this thing. I can kneel down on this thing. I can go into this little cove and I can go string a hammock without ever having to leave my boat, having to balance it. Because if you've ever been in a kayak or any kind of sitting boat, when you want to go dock it somewhere sketchy, the first thing you're going to do is fall in the water, because you have to learn how to balance it while your butt's in it. But then the minute you try to stand up, that thing gets super tippy, and then you got all your gear in it, and then like you can't like maneuver it very well into the place where you want to go to exit it, because you have to do all of this other stuff to make sure that you're safe to get even over there.
That's right.
Right. So it became very challenging for me, because I wanted to go explore stuff, because I'm a backpacker, outdoor enthusiast. I like to go do stupid stuff all the time out in the wilderness.
Screw loose.
I go four-wheeling, and my goal is to find the most remote place that nobody goes to and just kind of claim that spot. And I won't tell you where they are. Unless you're nice to me and we're friends, and then I'll take you.
I'm working on it. He's been a hard shell to crack, you know, but at some point he might give me a few tips here. And if he does, don't come asking me for him.
No.
My lips are sealed. It's like mama's recipe. You know, you don't give away mama's recipe. So
exactly
you got to really build a relationship with us if you want the good, juicy stuff.
I got to say, though, YouTube has kind of ruined it for a lot of places.
I'm sure.
It's been challenging. But beyond that, my original idea for my company kind of grew out of four-wheeling and everything else, because I really wanted to take people out to do what I do. And if you do something different than I do, I want to incorporate your thing, because I love other people's stuff. Like what they do excites me. And like, I get really excited. Like if somebody's like, I'm going to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and I'm like, oh, great. How do you want to get there? Like my whole goal is to build the journey for them in my mind and be like, you want to go off-roading with a trailer, and we'll go find some cool spots, and we'll take all the beaten paths, and we'll take a month to get there. Like,
how are we going to get there?
Yeah.
Let's
I want to take you on all the dirt roads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want you to see a freeway at all along your journey and camp in all these amazing places until you get to the thing that you want to go do. And then you do that thing.
Yeah.
And then you get to have that same experience on the way out. So
that's how your mind works.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, when you look at a situation or a scenario, you're like, how do we create this in the most unique and perfect way possible?
I don't know about perfect, because nothing's perfect. But, you know, all growing up, all I've ever heard from everybody is, oh, life's a journey.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about how you get there. It's not when you get there or how you arrive. It's about what experiences you've created along the way to go do the thing that you've set out to do, whether that's your goals, whether that's life, whether it's climbing a mountain, whether it's hiking the PCT, or building a company, or graduating high school, like getting through college, getting a degree, all those things. They all have all these crazy steps before any of that happens, before you walk across that stage, or before you get onto the first rock to climb that first step. Like it all is about the journey on how you got there and what made you into that person along the way.
Yeah.
Because you're wrought with challenges all the way through those things. And it's like, how do I provide a journey for people that they've never experienced before, taken the different offbeat path, because most people are on the freeway and they want to get to their goal as quickly as possible. And they stop to smell the roses. It's like, there's so much of this world that's out there, man. So much just in California that I haven't even touched all of it. Like, and I've been on this earth for 48 years and I go all the time. I'm like, there's more. Oh, right.
Heck yeah. I mean, sometimes I do wonder, I'm like, how vast is our world? Because I know when we talked about earlier, though, how fast it's growing as far as population and concrete playgrounds, however you want to put it, you know. And sometimes I wonder, like, as people get stuck in these environments, the more they look to places where there's more space. Yeah. And then I'm like, how long is that space going to still be available? And I mean, it's so great that we have the national parks and all the areas that are protected, but sometimes I like worry, you know, it's going to go away.
Yeah. I think most everything on this planet has been explored now. We kind of missed the boat on like exploring the world,
finding something brand new.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Finding that new piece of gold out in the wilderness. You know what I mean? Like,
totally know what you mean.
I think I missed my calling as a pirate. Like, I think that would have been amazing.
Aye, matey.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, living out in the islands, totally unregulated, without anybody hassling you, and you're just going around stealing loot. I mean, that sounds like a wonderful lifestyle.
You know what? That sounds actually a lot of fun. Some people are still living that lifestyle.
I know, how do we get on that train without breaking any laws?
Yeah, not possible. I mean, well, we can do it in a service-oriented sort of a way, which is what you're doing with Venture Wild, you know, really providing that service for people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's kind of where my journey started. And even earlier as a kid, doing exploration stuff as a kid, because I was just a crazy kid. I love oceans and trails. And, you know, my folks always took us camping, but we would like car camp.
Yeah.
And like when I finally turned 17, I was like, there's more to this. Yeah. And I was like, one of my buddies was like, hey, do you want to go backpacking with me? And I'm like, what's that? And he was like, well, you put a backpack on and you go hiking. And I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Perfect.
Have you ever been? He goes, no. Great first story. We packed a 3-man tent. I mean, our bags were gotta be 100 pounds. And we brought cans of ravioli with us. We were 17. We're idiots. We didn't know what the heck we were doing. And so we go hike this trail to this waterfall in Del Val. And like, we get to this place where like, we're tired. I probably was like a mile in.
We're tired and we're hungry. We need to eat.
We're hungry. And so
eat some of that.
We open up our bags and we pull out the ravioli cans and we're like, we didn't bring a can opener.
Oh my God. Did you have a knife?
How do we get this out? Like, how do we do this? So we're hitting it with rocks, pop the top off with rock, and we're eating cold ravioli out of the can. That was our food.
So if you want to know what his river trips are like that he's going to be taking you on at some point, they've stepped it up a notch, right? Ed Solvine is our, we've stepped it up from cans. So we now have thank goodness
private chef. His name is Ed Solvine, and he does, private chefing, big events, stuff like that. But he does surf and turf is kind of his main thing. And I'm like, what a perfect fit for a river trip. But yeah, so back to the story. I mean, when I started thinking about doing a company, that was kind of like the premise. It had to be kind of based on adventure and freedom and really kind of getting me out of my own tech world, because I've been in the tech field for 20 something years and highly toxic, 4 walls, being stuck inside all the time, being stuck 18 hours a day on a computer. And
totally.
It just takes its toll, you know? And so I was thinking about upgrading my paddleboard because I've had it for a long time. And so about 4 years ago, I was like, I'm going to go look around. I got some money. I'm going to go see if I can find one. And I was looking around and I was looking at all these cool companies and American companies mainly because I, want to see what's around me locally. And I went and tested some boards because, Jamie here at SUP California, amazing store. If you haven't been in there, she's awesome. My boards are now in there. So if you want to go demo them, go check out SUP California and go ride one of mine. But, I was demoing boards from her and like Starboard and all the high-end companies. And I'm like, man, these boards just feel sluggish and slow. And I was really looking for something to accelerate and use less energy on the water because I'm doing miles and miles and miles on my paddleboard.
Yeah.
I want to do multi-day stuff. And this is like the premise of the whole company is touring. And, you know, I got to the point where I just didn't like anything. And I couldn't find something that exactly fit what I wanted. And so I went on another journey.
Well, you know what they say, and I don't know who they is, but if you find something that you can create that satisfies your needs,
yeah,
then you will find other people who will appreciate what you created.
100%.
Amen.
And that is turning out to be true, which is great because everybody who's ever been on that board right there, which is our Sierra Flow. And
Sierra Flow.
It is our flagship paddleboard.
Love
it is a touring board in a 12.6 length.
And it doesn't completely fit in here, but it fits in here pretty dang good.
We need some bigger ceilings. So if you can get on that, that'd be great. You know?
Katie, is that possible? Can we get some taller ceilings just for some paddleboards?
Maybe we just take down the top shirts and just put the board sideways.
Oh, that's a pretty cool idea.
But I don't want to take down your shirts. They look cool. I don't want to ruin the vibe.
There's ways to hang things from the ceiling.
Oh, that's true too.
Oh, wait. Squirrel. Okay.
Squirrel.
Got it.
Yeah,
Flagship board. Flagship board.
So yeah, this is the board that I created because I was fed up with the other products on the market that I couldn't find for myself.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I wanted something that was touring based. It had all the features, functionalities for a day out on the water or multiple days on the water. And I also wanted it to be fast. Like it had to be a requirement of mine. And I was in kind of like torn between like, oh, should I go hardboard? Should I go inflatable? And I'm like, well, hardboards are really hard to travel with. You can't really, you know, unless you've got the, you know, the roof rack and the cover and a place to store it at your house. By the way, we make hardboards. I'm not knocking them. They're amazing. But
yeah, totally.
You know, there are definitive challenges around getting into the wilderness with a 14-foot hardboard. Like it is very, very hard to manage. I go down some extraordinarily tight trails. I have beaten up my car, scratches, you know, all the fun stuff that you can do on trails. And if you've got a giant 14-foot board up there that costs you $3,000 or $4,000, like the last thing you want to do is pull up to your campsite and see a big hole in it.
Oh my gosh!
You know what I mean?
Is that from experience or just, or is that just?
I haven't damaged any boards, but I have damaged other things on my roof.
I'm sure, man.
So yeah, my kayaks that I used to have were, you know, that long, and they got the trees beat out of them.
I bet.
But yeah, so this board is an interesting board, and it's kind of there's not too many of them in the United States by U.S. manufacturers. They don't make them. And they kind of Red Paddle Co., which is a UK company, they started to kind of fiddle with this design a little bit way back when, and it kind of fizzled a little bit because the design wasn't quite right. They added a few things that kind of made it counterintuitive. So yeah, on the bottom of this board, it's actually a displacement hole. And
that's right.
So it actually has a ridge line down the front of the board that goes almost all the way to your standing platform, which helps cut the water tension, which helps you get clean water. So when you're paddling, you're not trying to fight that suction that those flat bottom boards have that make them feel real sluggish in the water. And so you get something like this that cuts the water, and then the water funnels down the channel and it hits your feet, and that's where the board planes. And so that's where you want that water channeling underneath you, all that clean water, so the board kind of picks up and goes. And so this is an incredibly fast board. I raced with it all last year. I think I placed first in the Reading Regatta out of everybody, and I was racing 14-foot hardboards. You know, I'm not saying it's faster than a 14-foot hardboard. It is not, but I'm pretty quick. So that's just,
I mean, the thing that made me think of right away when you were talking about winning first is when they did the beginners race last year with Seychelles SUP.
I think I won that one too.
And he by default won. For some reason, they didn't give me the medal. I have no idea why. I even crossed the finish line in a headstand. Maybe that disqualified me. I'm not quite sure. But when it came to the awards, he took it graciously.
You know what? I think it was because he was not in my age group.
Just giving you shit, man.
Dialed. He's too young.
I was like, sweet. This is where I get my award. This is where I get my award. Mark O'Connor. Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. He was way ahead. What's going on?
In true Nick fashion, though, probably, I forgot to either put the tag on or ran around the thing and forgot. But, anyway, I just wanted to bust your balls for a minute about that.
You'll get me this year. Don't worry.
Oh, no. I'm actually not going to be there for Paddle Splash.
Oh, no.
Yeah, when is Paddle Splash? It's in July, right?
25th.
And they haven't released yet the guest paddler, I don't think, from what I know.
They're
or if they
trying
are
to
having
get a
one.
male athlete this year, which I think would be pretty cool. I had Seychelles. Seychelles was amazing last year. She's such a great human.
Yeah.
And just an amazing wealth of information about paddling and racing and technique. And man, that girl can move.
She can move. And she also is so great at communicating too. She did a podcast with us.
Yeah.
And it was like one of my favorite podcasts. My dad always comments about the podcast that Seychelles did with me, because it was cool. Like, it was really easy to talk to her, just like with you, but you can tell that she's around water.
Yeah.
People that are around water, I feel like in general tend to be more tuned in. For some, I don't know why. I think that it's because majority of our body is water, and so when we're around water and on water and doing things like that, there's just like a different level of energy that comes from somebody, but I get that from you, I get that from her, I get that from Ed Soul. People out there on the lake are like on a whole different level. It's cool.
Well,
really
I think
cool.
It's very grounding. Just kind of what you do here, and I think I really love the fact that you've combined SUP with yoga. It's such a great idea, and it's so healthy, because I think, as everybody ages, balance and grip strength are kind of like the two things that are the indicators of your wealth and your health.
No doubt.
As you get older. And if you're doing yoga on a paddleboard, man, I'll tell you, your balance is going to get amazing. And secondly, you're going to get that grip strength from holding on to the paddle.
Yeah.
Like, it's the two things that I think you can do that's low impact. If you're, and I think most of the subsection of my clientele are women in their 40s or above, and they are getting after it. They're doing whitewater, they're doing touring, they're doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, why isn't everybody doing this? This is something that everyone can do. It's super competitive, but super nice. Like, everybody in the community is like, oh, you're going to race? Great. Let's go race. Let's have some fun, but I'm going to beat you. You know what I mean?
Or if you're like, I'm just going to go chill, they're like, great, good, go chill. I'm going to go chill too. There is, I see what you're saying though. There's a level of, with paddleboarding, you can take it wherever you want to take it.
Yeah. There's so many avenues.
Yeah. So many avenues.
We touch on just 3 avenues in the business side of things, right? So we do whitewater, multi-day touring, and racing. So we're working on our product set to kind of fit those 3 molds.
Yeah, sure.
And that takes some R&D, but our main focus is the touring side of the house. But you can get on any one of these boards. And I always say, like, most people are out there, they're like, oh, I just want a beginner board. Please don't say that. You hurt my feelings.
Me too. Same.
Right. Like, if you're going to think about getting into a paddleboard, and this is something that you're going to do, and you live around waterways, it's important to understand the technology, the build quality, and the shape of your paddleboard before you ever set foot on it or buy something that is cheap just because you have it. Most people buy the cheap $150 Amazon paddleboard.
Yeah.
You basically just bought a glorified floating raft from Target, right? I mean, that's kind of what we equate it to.
And not to knock people that did it. I mean, they're affordable, but like same 100%. With the Costco boards, we talk about the body glove boards, and it's great that people get aboard. It's great that people get out there. The experience is completely different on a nicer, well-crafted and, unique board company.
With the combination of good technique.
Yeah.
And the combination of a good, well-crafted board.
Sure.
Your experience on the water is going to be far superior. And it's funny because I just had this experience in Reading. So I came back, I went up to Reading Monday to go kind of pre-run, meet with my vendors and check in with my safety crew, and then go run 2 sections of what we're going to be doing with our excursion folks.
It's awesome.
And by the way, we're doing a 3-day private chef, private wine tasting, 2 nights under the stars, 1 at a winery, 1 at Masker Flat, which is a boat-in campground only. It's got a private beach. It's beautiful. It's got a bunch of oak trees and shade, hang a bunch of hammocks. It's going to be an amazing time. But we do a lot of miles on that river. And I think, people kind of get worried. Oh, we're going to do 13 miles in a day. No, I'm doing it on moving water that's running at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. So you're not doing a lot of work, but you are putting in time on the water. So it's 3 to 4 hours a day.
And standing,
Laying
being
down,
on it.
kneeling,
Sure.
like it's in all the positions. And then also swimming because you want to jump in and stay cool.
And you need to take a shower after 3 days.
Yeah.
Or a little bath, a nature's bath.
I think most people like camping 3 days is their limit.
You think so?
For me, I can go 5, but then I start smelling myself and I go, I can't be in society.
Is it 3 days your limit as far as not taking a bath? Is that what you're saying, or not washing off, or just
5
days? Sorry, you said 5 days
in the wilderness.
In the wilderness,
yeah, but that's like with
a
river or a lake near me, right?
Sure,
like I'm jumping in for sure.
Yeah,
and maybe with some bio soap.
It's like two summers ago, I started bow hunting up in Idaho.
Nice.
And it was a cool experience. But the September that we did we were up there for 21 days.
Oh, wow.
In the Pioneer Range. It was amazing. But we always tried to find a body of water to go rinse off. And it was all like cold ass water, you know, but it was so worth it. It felt so good and refreshing. And then when we got tired of that, we found a little hotel that you could go pay $10 for a shower, you know, like sit in there and just like put hot water on us forever, you know. But it's like feeling. So there was 2 river dippings and 1 shower, 3 of those in 21 days. So 7 is my range. 7 days. I would say 7. That's kind of how I averaged it out. So I got a couple days on you.
That's fine.
You must get the stink going pretty good, dude.
The stink is great though. Like it's such an interesting thing.
The
like
stink
you're
is
out
great.
there after 4 days.
Yeah.
This stink becomes like this ingrained thing that you just are like accustomed to.
Sure.
And it doesn't smell bad after like, if you're out there for 4 or 5 days, like that then becomes kind of like your identity.
It's like,
little bit, you know
someone's
what I mean?
like, Mark's coming.
Yeah, Mark's coming.
Oh,
You know you're coming.
Here comes Lisa. Oh, here's Janessa.
But you don't.
Yeah.
But it doesn't smell bad after 7 days. It smells bad after 3. And then you get used to it.
Well, it's either that or your body is purified. You know, like it totally is that. When Baron Baptiste, the man that we train under here, we teach Baptiste yoga. But when I went to his first, he called it level 1 teacher training, it was in Hawaii, and they're a week long, and you're with 120 people, and it's humid, and they created this big dome out of plastic, so it was like a sweat plastic, basically sweat lodge kind of thing. And he talks about this in his books too. But I had the experience. Is the first couple of days that you're in there with all these people, there's like kind of a stink when you walk into there. But then you start eating the healthy foods and you're sweating and you're drinking a lot of water and all these things, right? And then the next thing you know, you walk in like 3 days later and it's kind of sweet, dude. Yeah. It's like you can smell like the fruit kind of that people are eating. It's like, wait, this is so weird. It's like a purifying thing. It is. So yeah, I think I would imagine it's similar what you're talking about.
I think for most people when they go camping, they kind of bring the kitchen sink with them.
Right. So they're
bringing the beers,
they bring the stink.
Steaks, they're bringing the food, they're bringing all the junk from home. But if you're out there like you are 21 days, or if you're out there, like if you're out on the PCT, I've spent a number of days out there hiking and you're eating the much cleaner foods. Like I said, the stench kind of just goes away. Your first 3 days are kind of like, whoop, yep, I'm smelling right.
Yep.
And then after that, it's like, all right, yeah, not so bad.
Not so bad.
I could jump in the water though. But oh man, those cold plunges in those cold lakes are life saving.
Oh, they are,
feel
dude.
So clean, make you feel so refreshed.
Yeah.
And then that first hot shower when you get home, man, is the best.
It is the best. It is the best. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, I remember.
And then you want to go right back out.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm ready.
All right, I'm clean. I'm good.
Clean,
hey,
good.
babe, can I have another 21 days off? Probably not.
Probably not.
She probably won't make it to this long into the episode, but made me remember Janessa. I want to speak to you, Janessa. He's done good with this posture, hasn't he? Yeah, I mean, I've been watching him. If he started to slouch too much, there was like a section where you started to slouch a little bit, and I was going to say something, and then all of a sudden, I think he channeled you. Behind every great man and their posture is an even better woman, right?
Oh, 100%.
That's right. Katie, this is my posture for you right now.
Focus on the yoga a little bit. Stretch the neck out because I've been in the car for like 8 hours in this past week, and it's only Thursday.
You've been working hard, man. Well, I really congratulations on your company and all the work that you're doing. I know it's being a small business owner, it is a lot of work and just putting yourself out there. But because you're so passionate about it and so energetic, it obviously is paying off and will continue to pay off, and you'll make a difference in a lot of people's lives.
I certainly hope so. That's the goal. Yeah, we want to take people out and experience what one of our boards can do, because everybody who gets on one of my boards, they really say, oh, wow, this is different. Yeah. And I've had people from Ohana go, hey, you're bringing fun back into paddleboarding, because kind of what's out there right now, it's all kind of the same stuff.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
when you get into a certain price range in paddleboards, there's not a lot you can do with a flat bottom board. And so we're kind of bringing a new realm of speed and stability to the game that a lot of people don't have right now. And it's this great mixture between touring and racing. And so if you're thinking about racing, you can race on these boards. They're 12.6. They're the entry length for racing. So you can pick it up and go, hey, I want to go tour. I want to go do what you do. I can go race in a race that's local.
Or maybe you're like, I don't want to do any racing, but maybe someday that sounds interesting. And then like,
Sure.
you buy a nice board that's going to last, that can do it. And then 5 years down the road, you're like, bam, beginners, what do they call it? The new timers race.
The new timer, the first timers.
The first timers.
Well, let's plug Paddle Splash and Shelly.
Yeah.
Shelly is an absolute amazing human. She's a personal trainer. She deals with people who have severe disabilities, and she helps a lot of people. But she also runs NorCal SUP, which is a 2-part program, one for kids who are underprivileged, and she also has a SUP program for kids for learning how to SUP and how to race.
Yeah.
And she puts all of this on by herself with help of Anne, and she does all of Paddle Splash and with the help, and does all these wonderful partnerships with the city and all this great stuff. And I met her through last year's Paddle Splash, and I just like want to hitch my wagon to what she's got going on, because she's just a energetic human, full of life, and just wants to help everybody. And so it's amazing. Come to Paddle Splash, try out a paddleboard, get on a demo, see some cool racing, see some great vendors, come do some yoga. Nick's not going to be here this year.
I'm not going to be here this year.
But next
year,
doing yoga out
next
there,
year will be the vendor. I guess that woman's going to step out for whatever reason.
Oh, the other
is SUP yoga.
SUP yoga.
So we'll do it next year.
And then Headwaters, I have to plug them because Headwaters is another partner of mine. They carry our boards as well, but they're also the ones that are supplying us with river safety guides.
It's awesome
for our excursions that we do. And without them, this trip that we are putting together would not be a possibility. And it's amazing. They do classes here for whitewater moving. So if you can't get a hold of Davide, which is awesome, you can also go see Steven at Headwaters, and they do a local section at the Lower American here off of Sunrise to Watt, which is a class 2 rapid, which is San Juan, but it's class 1, class 2, very intro level. And if you want to get into something like that and do some SUP, I will be doing some of that for him through his shop under that commission. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll be able to kind of get some folks on some paddle boards and teach them how to do it.
So
give you some options.
Dude, the thing is about you is that you're so accessible to, anytime I hit you up, you pick up, so
I answer even spam calls until I'm like, oh, okay. Never mind.
Well, the busier and busier you get, the harder and harder maybe to get a hold of you. In some ways, but I really appreciate and love the fact that you're so hands-on with people. And because, a big part of getting into a new sport or a new activity or doing anything new is having somebody to guide you. And the people in the paddle industry in this area are phenomenal. Up in Boise, the paddle industry is really great.
But it's growing like crazy.
Yeah, it's growing like crazy. Yeah.
But I want to say it's growing like crazy in a wonderful way.
Yeah.
But it's also growing a little bit sideways too. So like the manufacturers here aren't keeping up with the growth. And then there's a huge gap. It's poised to be like a $2.5 billion industry by 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And paddling all over the world has kind of embraced touring. We have all these wonderful cities like in Europe where you can get on a paddleboard and go on a trip and hit like 6 cities in 3 days and stop in and hang out. And they've got waterfront access. You've got restaurants that you can just park your paddleboard on, and you can tour all these wonderful cities with your gear. And I want to be able to bring that experience to like the Upper Sacramento, to the Trinity River where we're doing camp trips. And so we're going to be looking at doing a section of the Trinity for 3 days, which is an amazingly beautiful river. It is absolutely gorgeous. If you've never been up there, Whiskey Town Lake.
Whiskey Town Lake.
Shasta.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is
Oh, my gosh.
stunning. And we're
Heck
up there
yeah.
at Big Flat Jamboree doing whitewater stuff.
Yeah.
So I vendored Big Flat Jamboree. Big shout out to those guys.
The Big Flat Jamboree.
It is super fun. They do whitewater races in all kinds of crafts. So you got rafts and kayaks and paddleboards all doing this class 3 section of water.
And cardboard boxes. No, I'm just kidding. No cardboard
That
boxes.
would be really fun.
Like
you
soap
have
car
to build
derbies.
your cardboard box so that it won't sink.
That
you
could,
know what I mean?
That could be dangerous, but who knows?
It could be fun.
Could be fun and dangerous. My kids would be all about that. They love building stuff with cardboard boxes.
Yeah.
It's the most cost-effective
It is the
toy you
best
can
free
purchase.
toy ever.
Yeah.
And especially when they get them like a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And you can start building forts and little doors and
I mean, you know
containers.
about that because you got boxes coming in all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, the big paddle boxes.
Yeah.
Do your paddle boards, they have backpacks, right?
Oh yeah.
And so you can slap them on your back, roll them up, and take them into the wilderness if you want to do that.
So yeah, my paddle boards come with everything. And I tried to put together an accessory package that is upgraded from everybody else's on the market. So
yeah,
what you're going to get is a paddleboard, obviously. You're going to get a manual pump, which, you know, with the size of our boards and the amount of pressure that's in them. So just so you know, our boards are capable of going up to 20 PSI. That's their maximum.
Pounds per square inch.
Pounds per square inch, which is high for most of you that have a beginner board. You're going to see the 15 stamped on the back as a maximum.
Yeah.
Paddle boards are based on volume. So if you are a tall dude like myself, I am 6'2", 220. A 15 PSI 10.6 board will sink under my feet and it will not have enough volume to keep me afloat or be stable. So for those of you who are out there looking at paddle boards, you need to look at the size volume and make sure that it's the right fit and right size for you. Longer boards are typically more stable and they also paddle better in the water. So you're going to have a more streamlined board. It's going to slip through the water. It's going to be faster. But back to the accessory package, you're going to get a 3-piece carbon fiber paddle. It is actually truly carbon fiber. They're incredibly lightweight for a standard paddle that comes in a board.
Dope.
Most everything comes with like aluminum or super heavy, and
yeah,
like the ones that come out of the Costco bag, you know, I think they weigh something like 5 or 6 pounds.
Yeah.
So if you're out there for a long time paddling a 5 or 6 pound paddle, you're going to be sore.
Not to mention you drop it and you lose it.
And then it sinks.
And it's gone. And then you can call on Matt to go down and dive and grab it.
Right. Call Matt.
Call Matt. He's going to be on the show tomorrow.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's
Maybe
cool.
I'll stop in and just listen.
Yeah. His is at, I'll have to let you know what time we interview with him, but he's kind of become a little bit of a local legend. You know, it's like,
I don't think he's a little local. I think
he's a total
like,
local legend.
He's helping people every day find their lost things, man. And he finds them, which is the most amazing thing to me. Some guy I saw posted on Lake Natoma Paddlers the other day.
Yeah.
The family was out there and he's like, oh man, I lost my Oakleys. And he came out there and he was like, found them like on the bottom of the river. Like
amazing, man. And he also, he dives for bodies too.
Yeah, really.
You know, like, so he goes down for the search and rescue, and he just finds bodies that they can't find. He dives down. It's crazy. So I'm interested to talk to him a little bit about the underwater, what it's like down there. And I'm going to give him some shit too, because he hasn't found my GoPro or 3 hollow paddles. I'm like, where's it at, Matt? Where did they go? Come on.
Did you give him a location?
I pinned that shit and dropped it to Matt. I pinned that shit. But it was like the middle of the summer. It was the middle of the summer. I get it, man. I forgive you. No, but I'll talk to him a little bit about that tomorrow, which will be fun. And okay, so you got the awesome accessories, you got the awesome boards. The boards are sweet. The designs are amazing. You've got other accessories and stuff you sell. You got the high voltage. I want to call it the high voltage auto pump, but I don't know if that's a proper way to say it.
Venture Wild 12-volt pump. It's a pump that I wanted to create and design because I have a lot of boards, and every pump that I've ever had has always died in a year. Like every one that I bought off Amazon Marketplace, you know, I get it, I have it for a year, and then it dies in the heat. And so I wanted to build a pump that was kind of old school electronics with that nice fuse in the 12-volt adapter, and that's the fuse that blows. And so this pump is able to blow up 8 boards in a row, and I have tested it because I use one for my entire demo fleet of 10 boards.
You just back to back to back, you can do 8 boards.
8 boards in a row.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. That's amazing.
It's pretty sweet. And they're pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And I have 30% off on them right now.
Okay.
But
Heck
yeah,
yeah.
in terms of accessories, I wanted to build stuff that I use, like that I have adapted over the course of many, many years of doing touring and just being out on the water and knowing kind of what works
Yeah.
and what's easy to manage, and, you know, putting things in safely. Like you have to have dry bags if you're on water, if you have important things. And so it became really apparent on the first trips way back when, you know, the first touring trip I ever did, I just threw a backpack on my paddleboard and said,
Sure.
see ya.
See you later. That's still how I kind of do it.
Yeah, right.
Until I saw that backpack and I'm like, Christmas list.
Now you can keep stuff dry. But yeah, we do a 30-liter dry bag, which is a nice size. I can pack my entire sleep system in it. When I tour, I do 2 bags. So
Yeah.
I have my 30-liter with all my camp stuff and, well, my sleep system and my clothes that I need to keep dry.
All in that backpack. Grab that. Grab that.
Gets quite large.
We could put our 10-month-old in there.
So yeah, you can put a lot of stuff in here, and I like it because it's got molly panels. You can throw some carabiners on. You can tie this down to the bungees of the D-rings. You can create straps for it and really tie it down. It's got some room for water bottles on the side, so quick access kind of thing. And it also has backpack straps on the back, so these are a lifesaver. So if you've ever pulled your board out of the water, had a hike up to your campground up a steep slope, and you want to bring all your gear, you can throw this thing on your back and you don't have to, you can be hands-free. So this, to me, if you're portaging, you have to move your board around stuff, it works really, really well. And they're really comfortable straps. Like they're nice and padded. And so like if you got a little bit of a hike to your campground up the bank, these things rock.
No doubt. Or even if you just got to put a bunch of stuff in your backpack and take it down from the car to the beach at Black Miners, bam, 100%. You got it, dude.
Yeah. And
it's multi versatile.
Fits all your snacks. And if you want to throw some ice in there, it works as a cooler.
Oh, dude. But you also have a cooler too. So, I mean, you want the backpack and the cooler, basically. So, that's what I want.
The backpack is I built that mainly for touring. So you have something, because when I tour, I want to reduce the amount of things I open when I'm on the water.
Totally.
I want to make sure that my things that keep me alive stay closed tight and watertight. And this bag also, if you roll air in it, it's watertight, it's airtight, and will float. So even if you do get stripped off your board for whatever reason, your rigging comes loose and it gets free, it's going to float, and you can probably find it downriver in an eddy somewhere going, there's my things that I need to stay alive with.
There's my sleeping bag.
But yeah, we also make this bad boy right here.
This is a cooler for a lot of reasons. I like it. I like it, the setup of it, dude.
This little guy right here. I wanted to make something that was soft-sided, because if you fall on your paddleboard, it hurts.
Yeah.
If you got a hard-sided cooler. And I wanted to make something that's kind of like day use friendly.
Yeah.
Or like a 2-day friendly cooler. And so if you're going on like an overnight and you want to pack a bunch of drinks, pack a bunch of sandwiches, do whatever you want to do. It's a 26 can size. Pretty similar to those, other name brands that,
we don't mention,
that are white fluffy things that look like animals. But what's nice about this thing is that...
Did you say white fluffy things that look like animals?
Kind of like a Yeti.
I have a few screws loose too, but mine just make it a little bit harder for me to understand things right away. Okay.
I was trying to be subtle, but apparently I just needed to say the word. But yeah, so I mean, it's soft-sided. So like if you fall on this thing, it's a little bit flexible, but it's nice and rigid.
Yeah.
It will keep upright. It will keep its shape. But if you fall on it or something like that, it's not going to really damage you. But what's really nice about this is that it has these huge iron hooks on the side for your zippers. So they're really easy to grab and
big
pull.
time.
The big T zippers. Yeah. It's got a shoulder strap. So hauling it from the beach or from your paddleboard up, you can just sling it over your shoulder. It's got nice side handles. So when you're trying to mount it or move it around, it's real easy to maneuver. But on the back side, we got some cool molly strips, so you can like hang your accessories. So if you're going for a couple days, you can strap your electronics on here. You can put your GoPros. You can do kind of your Garmin messengers, all the things that need to be out and easily accessible. You can put your ribber knife on here. But on the bottom is what makes it special. So I kind of played around with this idea for a long time, and I wanted to make sure that I made something that worked for people with paddleboards. And so I made these adjustable straps to tie them down. They're PVC mounted. They're really tough. I mean, they're stitched in there really tight.
Yeah.
And we use PVC bonding to get these on here. And then the bottom part is got 4 carabiners with adjustable straps.
Yeah.
So you set this thing up once on your paddleboard and adjust the straps. It'll take you about 5 minutes. And then once that's done, you never have to change the straps again. It'll go right in between all your D-rings on your paddleboard and it'll strap right down. So it's super nice because all the other people out there fumbling with hard-sided coolers, they don't have a good way to strap them down. They're using bungees. They're using all kinds of crazy stuff to like cinch coolers down. And it's like, well, I want to fix that for people.
Heck yeah. Let me see this thing.
Yeah, take a look.
Yeah, it's sick. I like it.
And it's like, you know, I wanted to make sure that it fit for paddleboarders because it was something that is close to home for me.
Oh, I was a little too rough with it, maybe, dude.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
It's just the clip. It's fine.
There we go.
So I wanted to make sure that it worked for the D-rings on a paddleboard. And that was the idea, is instead of having to use stretchy cords or cinch type straps that put pressure on the D-rings, because on the paddleboard, you know, your weak spots are where you have other things glued to the main part of the board. That's your seams, that's your D-rings, that's your GoPro mounts, that's your center handle. Whatever you're going to be putting pressure on that board, it's going to cause some damage over time. Maybe it won't ever damage it, but over time, some of those things may eventually come loose.
Yeah.
Right. And they may break. And so I wanted to build something that didn't require tension.
Yeah.
For you to like create tension on the board to create more damage or potential damage on your board. I wanted something that clipped in that was secure and static, so it wasn't pulling on your board in any way.
Well, I mean, it's so interesting all the way through when you look at the right accessories make the experience better. The right board makes the experience better. The right owners behind the company that create the boards, they make the experience better. I mean, that's the same with, you know, so when you look for a good business, that's what you look for. Is like the leadership in the company, the products, the thought, the ingenuity, the intentionality, all those different things. I can really tell that you put that into your product.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. And I'm just like, I'm stoked for you. This is great. And I'm excited that we're going to have your boards here at Spotted Dog Yoga and Stand Up Paddle Company. We'll just add on. We've had Holla gear here since, I don't know, for like 8 years now. And
by the way, great company.
Yeah,
absolutely. So Holla they have their own subset of boards, which is amazing. And I play in their space a little bit, but I'm definitely not a Holla. They have put a lot of thought into their whitewater boards. Yeah. And they're, you know, if you're looking to really go after whitewater, you should look at Holla for sure, because they are very, very good. I make an entry level, like class 2+ board, and we're slowly developing. Yeah. But we're not at Holla level yet. So don't expect greatness. I mean, expect a great board. Don't get me wrong. It is a wonderful entry level board. If you're looking to get into whitewater, we have one and it works wonderfully. I run it all the time. Yeah. It ferries faster than the Holla because it's lighter. So that's really kind of like the only differentiator for us right now, is that we are a lighter, faster ferrying board than Holla, but by no means do we play in their space. They've got that dialed. It's been cool, you know, like of all the boards that I've really like looked at and played with, those are the ones that I've really enjoyed those for our SUP yoga in the last year. And I love the company and the culture and the colors and all those things. And so when I met you and saw your boards, I was like, wow, they fit with our style and what we're doing here. You know, when Katie and I started Spotted Dog Yoga and SUP, it was just Spotted Dog Yoga. And then we brought SUP in 3 years after we had opened the studio. But in that time frame, I remember we went to Cocoa Beach for a vacation, and it was the first time I'd ever been into a Ron John surf shop. Oh, really? And my perspective and my drive and my passion shifted to like, how can I make Spotted Dog Yoga and SUP like a Ron John surf shop? How can I carry the cool brands, unique brands, good brands for stand-up paddleboarding, provide adventures and retreats and different things through yoga and paddleboarding and change someone's life.
Yeah. Oh, totally. So it's a good fit. I'm stoked to have Venture Wild Paddleboards here. Mark, it's been amazing to have an opportunity just to like sit down and chat with you, man.
Yeah, every time we try to talk, it's like, hey man, I gotta go. Hey man, I gotta go. Hey dude, I'm so busy right now. And it's like, but I just want to hang out, dude. We're just friends, right?
Right. But I will say though, again, like to my point earlier, anytime that I've ever called you, you pick up or you call back really quick. We've had like very long conversations on the phone before where you explain like how your business works, all that kind of thing, like the things that you're up to. And so I appreciate your accessibility. That's huge for me and for anybody, you know, so
anybody who has questions about what I do, what he does, or what any of our co-partners, and anybody that just kind of works in and around us, not even maybe in a direct fashion, we're happy to communicate and connect the dots for anybody who has questions. And, you know, we're already talking about maybe since we're going to put some of these in the store, I have a rental site on my website.
Yeah.
If you want to rent them, you're welcome to. But I also think that if you're just going to come in and you want to try one out, I'm just going to say, let them take them out and demo them, because if you get on one of my boards, you're going to understand the difference almost immediately why I did what I did. And, you know, the other day we were up with a couple of beginner paddlers on the upper Sac, and it was like, hey, I, you know, spent $1,000 on this board, and this other gal had spent, you know, $500 on a beginner board, and both of them got on our Sierra Flow, and we're like, oh, we're changing.
You're like, oh, we bought the wrong board.
This is and so I was able to demo them down class 1 rapids, you know, down the upper Sacramento, slow moving water, fast moving water. It's a very versatile, stable board, and the best thing about it is that moves. Like it's so much faster than your standard board because of the water dynamics and everything that goes into it. So it's really cool. And if you have the opportunity to get on it, I highly recommend it. I know that we're going to carry them here. Headwaters has some of our demo boards. Doxa Outdoors, if you live anywhere near the Fresno area, they've got some of our boards. And then Headwaters, which is in Rancho and in Redding, also carries our boards as well. So
and that's local stuff we're talking about. For all of you that are tuning in from you're not in the Northern California area, you can get a hold of Mark Howe.
Please, please reach out to my website. So venturewild.com. There is a chat button on there, or hit the email, and it will come to me because I'm it.
He's the man. He's it.
I like communicating with all of my customers, just because I want to know where they're from, how they've paddled, what their experience is, what they're looking for on a board, and really be able to kind of fine tune their experience on the water. If they're looking for something more in the beginner standard style of board where they're looking to get their legs underneath them for the first time, I might steer them into a Nomad, which is our other touring board that we've got behind us here.
Sweet looking.
It's 32 inches wide and 12.6 long, same as this guy, but it is wider and it is a flat bottom board, so it is a bit more stable. But we still shaped it in a touring fashion, so it still glides through the water. It's not as fast as the Sierra Flow, but if you're beginning and just starting out, this is a great board to work on your technique with. Like this is kind of like the Jam. You've got a little bit more room on the board to move around. You want to stick a dog on it, put a couple kids. You know, it's got enough room in the deck space because it is a longer board. So if you're looking at a beginner board and you go into a 10.6 or 11.6 board, I've got a whole nother foot on here for you to put stuff.
And which is obvious based off the fact that it doesn't completely fit there, but we're finding spots. We're finding spots. Yeah. Actually, looking behind the front desk, I'm thinking maybe.
Well, you got a nice clock there. I don't know.
Well, that is not a clock. Oh, this is just a Bandit. You all can't see it at home, but it's like it looks like a clock.
Fashion, similar. I mean, it would be really great if the tongue just went around as a clock.
Or like ticked side to side. Talking about Bandit, who we named the show after, which is perfect segue, I think, to complete the show, because Play Hard and Love Big Radio is brought to you by Spotted Dog Yoga and Stand-Up Paddleboard Company here in Folsom, California. And the motto, Play Hard and Love Big, came from what Katie and I learned from our dog Bandit, who is 14 years old. He's an Australian cattle dog, a blue heeler. And he, when we first got him, we didn't understand his breed. We didn't understand like what it took to get him to a place of peace. You know, he's like a lot like me. Sure. And what I realized is that in order for me, and a lot like you, because what I realized is what he needed. It was a really, really hard workout, multiple times a day.
Sure.
And once that happened, he mellowed out and became the most lovable pup in the world, you know, and they're intense dogs. So it was like, that's where we came up with play hard and love big. Is you just like Bandit or the dogs in the world that are out there playing hard. If you play hard, if you get up off your butt and you go out and you play hard, then ultimately you're going to live with a more of a sense of gratitude and love in life. Yeah, we have. That's right. You showed me a picture. What is your dog?
So my dog is a shepherd.
Yeah.
But it's a mix, but I think they want to call it a McNab shepherd.
A McNab shepherd.
Which is an American breed.
Yeah.
But we rescued her and she was very similar, extremely skittish.
Yeah.
A big chewer of all things furniture
big
related
chewer.
And toy related from kids, and just wouldn't really be around people until we were able to take her out, run her, make sure that she has what she needs. And she's a herder, right?
Yeah.
So like she freaks out when the kids are in different rooms in her house. So she'll be like,
yeah, she wants to know where they are, right? She wants her people around. What's her name?
Her name is Sega.
Sega.
Yeah. You know what? It was the original name that we got from the pound. And I'm like, we don't need to change the name. Like, let's go. Sega. Sega. I forget the tagline from Sega Genesis, but
I just remember it was like, because I used to play Sonic on the Sega Game Gear, and it was like, Sega. That's all I remember.
It was like Play Hard or something too.
Oh, maybe. I'll have to look that up.
I'll have to look it up. It's very similar.
Well, hey, Marco O'Connor, thank you so much, dude. Thanks, and Venture Wild Paddleboards. I'll make sure that I put your website and the Instagram link in the show notes. Everybody,
I'm gonna check my posture for Janessa.
Your posture has been good. Thanks, Janessa, for keeping this guy in line. I appreciate it. Mark, thanks for bringing your boards in and letting us have them here in the studio. We're excited to get the brand out. On behalf of our family, we really appreciate how hard you play and how big you love. And Play Hard and Love Big Radio is dedicated to bringing you inspirational people and their stories, just like Mark was providing us with today, in the hopes that you go out into the world and you live your life in the fullest, most passionate way ever. Big thanks to you, man, and congratulations on an awesome Venture Wild, baby.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and hang out with you, man, because I never get the opportunity because you're always shuttling back and forth from home to here, and it's tough to nail you down to like have a paddle or just go have a drink or
totally
have a session of yoga or whatever it is. But yeah, it's great to be in the same space, and awesome that you and your wife are putting this together. I know you got a bunch of craziness at home with the kids and everything's going on with the newbies, and
totally,
hopefully, things are moving along for you. I'm proud of what you've been able to accomplish here, and
thank you.
Gives me inspiration because every time I come in here, I'm like, man, maybe I should open a store.
Maybe we should build something on the back of Spotted Dog Yoga. That maybe a little bit better. No, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I mean, Katie and I have worked very, very hard at this. And what I'm most excited about now is growing this podcast and helping really people like yourself get their word out there and make a bigger difference in the world. And I know that all of that will be returned tenfold in whatever way, so it's it's exciting time to be a part of this community.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. We're happy to help support the community in any way. So if there's something that Venture Wild can do, feel free to reach out and and just ask. Like, if it's a no, we'll figure out something or someone to help you. Like, we're never going to just turn you away. We're always looking for ways to give back and be able to bring the community into our space and into our world, and be able to bring people into what we do. And it's always nice to do it in different ways. Like, we're always looking for new opportunities to just partner and figure out something that's going to be fun for everyone and safe and just have a blast and get out on some paddle boards and, find that center.
Heck yeah. Find your center. Venture Wild Paddleboards. Mark O'Connor, you're the man. Everybody, thank you so much for following Play Hard and Love Big Radio, official podcast of Spotted Dog Yoga and Stand-Up Paddleboard Company based out of Folsom, California, and now up in Idaho. We've got our SUP Yoga starting in Idaho in July up there at Freedom Park. So if you're in Idaho listening, go to SpottedDogYoga.com, head to SUP Yoga, and go over to Idaho or Folsom classes and book today. On top of that, we're going to Costa Rica next April, which will be sweet. It's going to be an amazing retreat. It's booking fast. So you want to make sure you jump on that. It's a 7-day trip to Nosara, Costa Rica for some Pura Vida lifestyle. and then just more than anything, if you wouldn't mind, share the good vibes, share this episode with your friends, your family, people that that could enjoy some great conversation and a jolt of energy and vitality and enthusiasm, and some centering.
Energy is all about that.
That's all about that.
Yeah, got to bring the vibes and then also be centered while you're bringing them.
Damn right. This is going to be a fun episode for me to edit. Hey, man, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You too, man.
You're awesome, brother.
Thank you.
And thanks for the gear, dude.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Covers up my hair. I mean, when I'm comparing my hair to Mark, I need a hat, baby. Yeah,
my
baby.
Hair looked worse than that this morning. So
Not
I
a
found
chance.
a barber at 9 a.m.
You did?
It opened at 9 a.m. and I was like, dude, I'm going to be on a podcast. Babe, I need to go fix this mop. And she's like, yeah, go.
That's right. You hear that, Matt? And any upcoming guests, get your hair done before you get on this show, because this is the most popular podcast in Folsom, CA right now. Actually, probably not, but maybe it will be someday soon. So
yeah,
that's
amazing.
sick, man. Cool. All right. Hey, thank you, bro.
Thank you, man.
You're awesome, man. Cool.
And love big radio podcast, inspiration on your station with the show broadcast. You don't want to miss it, you gotta listen. Good vibes and stories for you to go the distance, bringing inspiration, stories that shine, helping you connect heart and mind aligned. Live your best life, lift up and soar, feel by come quiet energy, we give you more. Play hard and love